Hey guys, Ryan King here, and I'm the keyboard instructor for WorshipArtistry.com. In today's YouTube lesson, we're going to take a look at the song He Shall Reign Forevermore by Chris Tomlin. And specifically, we're going to take a look at the tone section. Now, we're only going to look at the tone section, so if you want to see the entire lesson, you need to click the link and head over to Worship Artistry where you can sign up for a free account. But just in case you want to check out a YouTube video, this is for you. The tone for this song is a little more involved than most, but it's not terribly difficult, especially if you have the right sounds at your disposal. Now, as usual, I'm using software instruments off of my computer, and the two main ones that I'm using are Ivory and Omnisphere. Now, Ivory is my main acoustic piano, and basically what I've done is I've dialed in a 7-foot Yamaha. Now, most of the time I would use like a 9-foot Steinway or Bosendorfer or something like that, and that's got a very big and rich sound. But for this particular tune, I want to have a little bit more of a pop sound to it, so I've dialed up an acoustic grand. It's a Yamaha 7-foot grand, and it sounds like this. So you can hear that has a little bit more of a brighter sound to it versus others, and that's just because the strings are a little shorter than, say, like a 9-foot grand. In addition to this, I've added a little bit more reverb to the sound, so it gives it a nice sense of space. Now, the other software instrument that I'm using is Omnisphere, and if you've watched any of these videos or watched any of the lessons, you can tell that I use Omnisphere on practically everything, and it's a great go-to piece of software for all of your sounds. And that's what I have set up here on my iPad. It's just a controller. All of my sounds are coming from my computer, and this is just a controller so I can help choose which sounds that I want. Now, in addition to the acoustic piano that I'm using, I've got a few other things that I'm using because we want to allow the actual synths to do all the work. We don't have to play a lot. As you listen to the demo, there's a lot going on. There's kind of a hammer dulcimer kind of sound that's going on. There's a big pipe organ sound. There's some strings that go on. And if we're going to play the actual piano part, we can't play the traditional piano part and play all these parts at the same time. So what we have to do is use the arpeggiator, or ARP for short, in order to create some of these things. So that dulcimer sound that you hear that's kind of providing some rhythm throughout the song is actually coming from Omnisphere. This one is called Cedar Plucked Piano. And what I've done is I've limited it to a certain range on the piano, and I've provided a 16th note arpeggiator to it. And so if I hold down a note, it sounds like this. So you can hear it has that rhythmic pulse to it. And what it does is it also does it for all of my chords. And what I've done is I've made the arpeggiator do a up and down motion. Instead of playing all the notes at the same time that I'm holding, it alternates between them by starting on the lowest and going to the highest and then coming back down. So if I played a full B flat chord, so you can hear how it provides that chord, but it's not playing all the notes at the same time. And this is really handy, especially during the chorus when we're providing those big chords, and it could sound like this. So as you can see, I'm not having to do a whole lot of work. I'm just providing the chords and letting the arpeggiator handle the rest of the motion there. In addition to that, I've also doubled that same sound over, but I've limited it down to the lower portion of the keyboard here, so whenever I play a melody in my right hand, you don't hear that particular sound. You just hear it in my left hand. So you can see it's just down here on the lower part of the keyboard. The other thing that I've done to both of these is I've set the arpeggiator to basically lock in time. Instead of every time I restrike the note, it starts the arpeggiator over, I've locked it into the tempo that we're using, which is 122, and that way, even if I strike a little bit early, it's still going to stay in time, and that's very important because with this kind of thing, you really want to make sure that you're locked into a good tempo. And so that's called Cedar Plucked Piano. I'm using 2 instances of that. The next one is the big pipe organ that you hear come in at the end of the song. And I've basically limited that to B flat, above middle C, and down. And so it sounds like this. So immediately you can hear how big that pipe organ is. It's just a big cathedral organ, and it provides a nice pad, especially during the end of the song. Helps cut through the mix just a little more. In addition to that, I've got 2 instances of some strings. Now, what I've done is I've applied an arpeggiator on these strings, and this is called Power Strings Dynamic Pop. And basically, this string section has a lot of articulation to it. It's got that kind of chunky sound to it, as if they're doing, nice staccato kind of sounds. And what I've done is I've applied an arpeggiator to it to give it that pulse that you hear. So it kind of sounds like this. So you can hear it's got that nice rhythmic pulse to it, and all I'm having to do is just hold my chord, and when I change the chord changes as well. Now this one is set to a chord versus the up and down motion. As opposed to on that Cedar Plucked piano where it's playing all of the notes individually, here it's actually playing the chord. I want it to actually sound out that chord. So if I were playing it with a big full chord like this, it would sound like this. So you can hear how it's got that nice feel to it and provides a good sense of tonality and chords as well. In addition to that, I've doubled it one more time and I've bumped it up an octave, so when we get towards the end of the song, we can provide even more energy, and it sounds like this. So you can hear it's the same rhythmic pattern, it's just bumped up an octave, and I've limited it to basically this G right here above middle C and down. I don't want it to strike that high B flat because it just cuts through a little bit too much. In addition to that, I've got another piano that I'm using. This is called Ambient Piano, and this is that melody that you hear after the chorus and at the end of the song, and with the irregular acoustic piano it sounds like this. So there you can hear it's got a nice trail to it, kind of has a little bit of a bell sound to it, and that's what we're going for. We want it to sound a little different than the acoustic piano, so it's just not the regular piano playing that melody, but it kind of provides a little bit of a sonic difference. When you combine many of these together, they sound pretty good. And that's the tone that we're using for the song. Again, I'm just using a nice big grand. It's a 7-foot Yamaha. I've got 2 instances of a cedar plucked piano that I've kind of bumped at different octaves, and that provides that Hammer dulcimer sound. And I've set the arpeggiator to 16th notes, and on that arpeggiator I can customize as far as how hard it hits on the different notes, so that it's not just kind of a machine gun effect, but it has a little bit of a organic life to it. I've got the pipe organ that comes in at the end of the song, 2 different instances of the strings that are providing that nice pulse and chord sound, and then finally that ambient space piano that really helps during that melody that you play after the chorus and at the end of the song. If you've got these sounds, then you really can get through the song. Now, if you don't happen to have Omnisphere or something that's more elaborate than this, and you're just having to use just a regular keyboard, really, if you can just get a good acoustic piano and a nice pad, that'll really help you get through the song, because you can really carry it just using the piano. All of these other sounds really are more accessory and really help the overall dynamic of the song. But if you just have an acoustic piano and a nice pad, you'll have what you need to get through it. Be sure to click the link and head over to worshipartistry.com, where you can sign up for a free account today. Every lesson comes with a music video where you can change different video angles, as well as step-by-step instruction for different sections of the song. We also have loop videos that you can practice along to, as well as sheet music, chord charts, guitar tabs, and a whole lot more. So what are you waiting for? Click the link and sign up for a free account today.